Welcome to the SimTech podcast, the show that dives deep into the world of clinical simulation, where we speak with people, products, and processes shaping the future of healthcare education. I'm your host, Craig, a simulation technician with a passion for exploring the tools and tech that bring training to life. In today's episode, we're joined by a very special guest, Kateri from Sim2Grow, a company making waves in the world of simulation-based learning. If you've ever been curious about how medication administration can be taught more effectively, or how simulation can bridge gaps in clinical confidence, then this is an episode you won't want to miss. Hello and welcome to another episode of the SimTech podcast. Today we're going back into the Supplier showcase. And to help me do that, I brought on a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself and who do you work for or with?
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Craig. I am Kateri Gabriel. I am the co-founder and CEO of Sim2Grow, and we have a medication administration training simulator that allows students to experience the entire MedPass practice in the safety of the simulation lab, from both dispensing all the way to the bedside with barcode scanning and EMR documentation.
Wow, sounds very exciting. But before we get into that too much, how did you get to where you are? What have you done before?
Oh, that's a great question. So my background is in nursing. And in 2009, I started working in a simulation center in a community college in Western New York. And from there, I just had the simulation bug. And I actually have my master's degree in healthcare simulation. So I graduated from that in 2014. And I moved on to hospital-based simulation. And in between time, I worked with my friend from the community college on our medication administration training system. So a little dabbling of all different types of simulation experiences.
And how did you come up with the idea then of Sim2Grow?
So Roxanne and I worked together in the community college. We had a grant and we purchased a automated dispensing system for our program. And unfortunately, we were a little disappointed with the amount of effort it took to get it set up and to use it with the students. And we were particularly frustrated that it still didn't include the whole MedPass process. It helped us with the dispensing part, but we needed to then kind of pretend with a fake barcode scanner at the bedside, and we knew that there should be something better. And we didn't find something, so we sat in a coffee shop and said, well, what if it did this and this? And we, over the years, put it together. We did the software programming ourselves, and then we became business people.
I mean, it's quite a jump in it from being a nurse to someone that deals with that side of business. I mean, how did you find that kind of transition? You know, there's probably a lot to learn. That were you slightly naive going into it?
Slightly is generous. We were completely naive. Yes, they don't teach you how to be a business person in nursing school. I am a veteran, and my husband was in the Navy. So in the US, we have some opportunities for veteran and family members to take advantage of entrepreneur education opportunities. And I jumped on those, and it certainly helped.
Okay, so if no one's ever heard of Sim2Grow, how would you describe it to them? What is it in a kind of a nutshell?
In a nutshell, it is a business developed by nurse educators for nurse educators, and we're laser focused on medication administration training. You know, there's patients that die every day from medication errors, and it's, you know, very sad that the students don't have you know, accurate simulation experiences that they can practice, make mistakes, learn from their mistakes before that they take care of patients in the hospitals. Um, I had an experience at a conference one time that a new graduate nurse came and, you know, tested out the system, and she goes, "Wow, this is really great. I wish I had it in school when I was learning to pass meds," because her first med pass with her new RN degree in her new hospital was where her preceptor said, "Oh, you know how to do this," and sent her off to pass meds. And she said, "I sure hope I did it right." So
Yeah, scary,
that
isn't it?
stuck with me.
Mm.
Yes.
I've got to admit, so I was a medic in the army for, longer than I'd care to admit. And I've always had a weakness for medications because it's almost like a little bit of a side hustle to the treatment. It was for
Hmm.
us. So when you're bringing something like this forward, I always think, what, I would have loved to have this back in the day when I was a young medic. I mean, what kind of feedback do you get on it from people?
Uh, so I would say overwhelmingly positive feedback. We did a survey of our customers recently, and overwhelmingly their response was summed up with the word easy. So easy to use, easy to set up, um, easy to move around. You can use it in the classroom, or you can use it in the sim lab during skills acquisition or in simulation. So um,
When you
and
say when you say it, what does it come as?
encompass. So we have a medication cart. It's actually a tool cart, you know, that doesn't break and the drawers don't pop open.
Robust.
So it is robust. It is student proof. And then it has a series of iPads. One iPad is always uh, on the cart, and that is the dispensing screen. So the automated dispensing unit, whether the hospital has a Pyxis or an Omnicell, it doesn't matter. It's representing that part of the process. And then there's another EMR iPad that is Bluetooth connected to a barcode scanner. And that's the one that the student brings into wherever you park your med room and do the screen to screen comparison. Then they're able to do their dosage calculation and all of that med room activities. And then they take the EMR, the barcode scanner, the medication over to the patient bedside, and then they can scan the patient wristband. So the software generates the wristband. um, our default is medication tags, mannequins don't swallow, that
Yeah.
you can use over and over and over again. So it's kind of sustainable that way. Also, we have barcode labels. So when you're doing your high fidelity simulations and you want them actually manipulating, the psychomotor skills of opening packages and stuff, you could just put that barcode scan or barcode onto the medication. And then they can EMAR or they can document on the EMAR. And as soon as they click done, it erases and it's ready for the next student to come and pass meds. So it's a medication cart and at least two, if not more, iPads. So you can have multiple
Mhm.
EMAR iPads if you like.
And you said it's Bluetooth. Does that mean it doesn't require any type of internet or Wi-Fi or such?
When the students are using it, there is no need for Wi-Fi. Obviously, when you're doing your iOS updates, you have to
Yeah.
tap into the public Wi-Fi, but it does not go behind your firewall of your program. There's no individual student identification information. So the students log in by touching a button that is in the shape of a fingerprint. So it reminds them that it's a secure process, without the cumberness of a secure process. So nobody's going to forget their password. Everyone has their finger that they're bringing to lab with them.
Mhm. And how are people using this then? Obviously, you mentioned in high fidelity simulation. Is it being
Mhm.
used in maybe just like training as low fidelity, or maybe classroom based training or anything like that? Can it be used in such situations?
Absolutely. And the cart is on wheels, so you can bring it to whatever room you want. So you could easily connect one of the iPads to your um projector and display it in the classroom, and then kind of go over, you know, pharmacology or uh, med reconciliation with a patient on particular meds, and you can look at their EMAR. In skills acquisition, I had mentioned that you could have multiple EMAR iPads with only one cart. So you can have a lot of students practicing the process over and over again. In simulation, obviously, you could be using it for that. One of my customers recently talked about a situation where she had a student sent back to the practice lab because she was struggling with MedPass in the hospital. So her clinical instructor said, You need to go practice that some more." So the simulation person took that student for a little session with MedPass and really broke down the steps using the Sim2Grow system, and was able to really break through. And that student had the aha moment of, now I get it, and flourished in passing meds afterwards in clinical. So that was very cool to hear that.
Yeah, so when I first heard about your product, and as part of the podcast, as any podcaster would do, they'd do a little bit of research into the product and the guests that come on. So our centre is maybe guilty of not using medications in our simulation as much as maybe what we would like to. It's something that the process happens, but we kind of breeze past it, because what we don't want to do is
Hmm.
we don't want to drag simulation out too long.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, because medication prescribing, it can take a long time, can't it? And let's be realistic, it's not a good watch for people maybe who are in a debrief room. It's not exactly thrilling to watch. How do you kind of get past those barriers to integrating it into simulation?
Well, I think, and my experience working in the hospital, because I did have in my hospital simulation center a shiny new dispensing unit that they have on all the hospital floors, but it was so cumbersome to add that step into the MedPass process because it had all of the real features, whether it's the wrong time of day. You did your simulation at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you're trying to pass a 8 o'clock med. It's not going to let you do that. Um, and then, of course, all the students would need to be signed in. But with Sim2Grow, we've removed those time-sucking variables out of the process. So the students can just tap, they can look on the EMAR, they can look on the dispensing screen. The other thing that we've added for realism in simulation is the ability to have an unfolding case, where when the students look initially at the list of medications ordered, they might not be seeing all of them. So when they go and assess the patient afterwards, after their report, and find out the patient is deteriorating and need to do an SBAR and communicate with the provider and request a new medication, if you, as the simulation coordinator, had already planned that that was going to unfold that way, and hopefully you've already planned your simulation out completely, you can have the students tap refresh orders, and all of a sudden, those hidden orders that you knew you were going to have the student administer those meds, they will be available to the student to see those orders. And again, when they press done, it erases everything. So back to back sims, you don't need to go and fiddle and restock the dispensing unit. those orders go back into hiding, the meds go back into their little spots, and super easy to have a turnover between SIMs.
Does it matter what company uses it? For instance, we're over here in the UK, and you guys might be more US based, and obviously our medications might be slightly different. Would that make a difference with the software, or could we add or remove anything that we feel we would like for our simulation?
Great question. So our medications are 145 of the most commonly prescribed adult care medications, and we have them all listed by their generic names. So there's probably a very strong crossover of what's in the US versus what's in the UK. We do have some Canadian customers, and they kind of went through the whole list and said, yep, I know what all of these are except one of them. In addition to those, we have 50 what we call non-formulary medications. So those are available. And the thing is, with Sim2Grow, when you're putting in the orders, you're going to select an on-hand med, but then you can write the medication order that the student is going to see however you want to write it. So
Okay.
it does have the flexibility of, if your formulary is not exactly what our formulary is, then there's a couple ways to overcome that.
Okay, then you ready for the hardest question of the day?
Okay, I'm ready.
How much does it cost?
So that varies. And so this is in US dollars. Our base model, so that's the one dispensing iPad and one EMR iPad, that is around $15,000. And then there is an annual licensing fee. And we want to make that super clear, because that's kind of frustrating with simulation equipment when there's all those little hidden tags. So you do have to, on an annual basis, account for a licensing fee. And that fee allows you to A, use the equipment, B, any software updates. So earlier this week, we released our 8.0 version of the software. So all of our customers are getting that as part of their annual fees. And then most importantly, every 3 years, we, in the US, swap out the iPads for our customers. So your iOS is never going to, limit your ability to use it all day, every day.
Brill. And what's next for Sim2Grow then? Have you got anything in the pipeline?
So, like I mentioned, we did just release our 8.0 version of the software. We make new enhancements, new features based on feedback from our customers. So they say, oh, it would be really nice if it would do this and that. So we try to incorporate that. So we will be, releasing new features as the years go on. I had mentioned we just recently expanded into Canada. So once we've confirmed that that's going smoothly, then maybe we'll expand across the ocean. We'll see.
How are you dealing with things like, AI and, kind of those things that are driving, especially tech these days? Is it having any kind of effect on Sim2Grow?
So we do include on the iPads Hippocrates, which is a reference, resource. So as different resources become available, we could consider including that. Medication administration is very hands-on, and you have to do however many writes of medication. When I went to school, there were 5 writes. Now there's 7 or 10 or 12 writes of medication. And AI might be able to help out with that at some point, but uh, we specifically make sure that we're having the students expand their critical thinking versus relying on, a pop-up on the screen telling them, oh, you need to do this and that. We want them to do it because they're thinking about it, not do it because a machine told them to do it.
Yeah, I think we've got to start taking ownership, haven't we, and stop the machines from taking over. Before we go then, if people want to maybe get in touch with you or do a demo or anything like that, what's the best way of getting hold of you?
The best way is to visit our website, which is www.sim2grow.com. And I can email you a link to our free Sim2Grow resources. So we have all kinds of resources that we just want to give away for free. So we have some escape room templates, some posters that you can print and put up in your Sim Lab. So I will share that link with you, and then people can download those for your resources.
We have a lot of sim room enthusiasts who listen to this podcast. How is your product being used in those kind of rooms?
Definitely in all kinds of ways. So whether it's doing their checkoffs for different skills, making those into simulations versus just next, and checking off, the skill in isolation, and then all the way over to remediation with, for example, that story that I had given you. So they're using it in all kinds of creative ways.
Yeah, we did an escape room the other day with our maternity team here. They called theirs the escape womb. Can you believe it?
Oh, okay.
And they do
Yes,
a
yes.
little bit on medication, but I think it was all used the BNF, a little bit more of a
Hmm.
book flip
Yep.
through it, and then I think there was a key hidden where the medications were meant to be. Pretty cool.
Oh, perfect. Yes. So one of our escape rooms is definitely medication focused. The other one is actually, it's called Mock Code Mystery, and it helps the students remember all the different locations that you should put on gloves. So there's a clue near the gloves. You should use the backboard. So there's a clue there. So some of them medication related, some not so much.
Brill. Well, before we go, Kateri, I'll let you have the last final thought, if you would wish. Is there anything that you'd like to mention before we sign off?
Yes. Earlier this week, we hit our 10-year mark. So Sim2Grow has been around for 10 years. So it was our birthday earlier this week. But I also want to thank your audience, because if you're listening to a simulation podcast, you're really driven and you're committed to, making your simulations better, making yourself better. And I appreciate that, because not everybody takes their job so seriously. And, I listen to podcasts all the time while doing other tasks, laundry and whatever. So I appreciate your listeners.
Yeah, sometimes I can't even believe we get paid for doing this. It's such a world that we live in.
Yes, yes.
All right, Kateri. Well, thank you for coming over and talking to us today. It's been great to have you on.
Sounds good. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of this episode of the SimTech podcast. A huge thank you to Kateri from Sim2Grow for sharing her insights and giving us a closer look at how their solutions are transforming medical administration training and supporting simulation educators around the world. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow SimTechs and educators. You can find more information from Sim2Grow and the topics we discussed in the episode description. And as always, if you'd like to be a guest on the show or want to recommend someone doing something innovative in the world of simulation, please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep simming.